Hi guys, we're group 4 here. We got Cade, James, Paul, Zach, and Dylan. We have a list of questions here that we're gonna kind of go through and coach you guys through the Rainbird system and how to tweak your programs. So for the first question, we're gonna use the freedom command to turn on 12 green for 10 minutes. So when we're dealing with this, to start, you're gonna open up your Rainbird Cirrus app here. Within the gray bar at the top, you're gonna click on number 3. We'll actually go to number 2 first. Go to number 2. So we want to use that freedom command, but as you can see, there's the red circle there and it has a line through. So we, as of right now, we cannot use it. So to unlock that, you'll go click on tab number 3. You have the password here, and you can see that that's locked. So you'll click on that, and here you're going to enter the given password. From then I can see that our lock has been unlocked. So you'll go back over to number 2. And you can still see that our freedom thing still has it's still locked. So from here, we're going to go back to we'll click on the number 1. So now we can click System Settings, which is the first tab right after. In that bottom left corner in the box, you can see in all caps the word freedom. So we're going to click on that, and it says not assigned. So we'll click that drop down arrow, and we're going to put that to COM1 since we're dealing with our first communication. Then we'll assign. Important to click assign for that. So now that's assigned, we can close this screen. And if you go back to number 2 at the top corner, you can see that the freedom's unlocked. Before we go into there, we're going to quickly click on the designer notes, which is the question mark and the pen. From here, you can click this drop down menu, and you can see freedom commands at the bottom. So we're going to click that. And here's just a little screen that if you ever get confused or kind of forget the codes that you're dealing with, this is a little bit of a run through on how to deal with your freedom commands. So with that, you can close this. All right, so from here, we're going to just click into the freedom tab now. There's a way to enter your codes here that you can see in the designer notes, but I'll kind of walk you guys through it here. So in order to start a code, we're going to hit pound twice and then number 1. So that's how you turn your system on. So from there, now we'll hit pound again, and we're going to choose what hole we want to deal with. So we're going hole 12, and then we'll hit pound. Now we're going to choose what area we're dealing with. So we want to water our greens, which we know is area 1, so we'll hit 1. And then we'll go pound. And then from there, you want to choose how long you want to run your station. So we want to do 10 minutes, so we'll hit 10. And then to make this run, we're going to hit pound, pound. From here, too, you can also see that we're turning on our stations. We're on course 1, hole 12, our area is greens, and we had all of our stations. And then, so close there. And then now if you go back to click the 1 at the top of your screen, you can hit the monitor log. And from there, if you go to hole 12, you can see that they are running right now. And after they finish the program, you'll see that they have ran for 10 minutes. Now I'm going to pass it off to Paul here to answer the next question.
All right, so what I'm going to do now is take you through setting some alarms for your irrigation system when some weather's happening out on the course and some areas might need to be shut off due to houses in a certain spot or whatnot. So if you want to go to the weather data, you can click on that, and something I'll note right now is there you can set the default ET. So we are going to set it to 0.25. So that would be inputted automatically if your weather station was connected to that. And then you can also set a maximum of ET that you'd want to be replaced just up above it as well. So sticking with the alarms here. So if you want to click on the bell up above, and you can see we've set a couple already here. So now what that one's saying is if the winds are getting too high, then there's the if condition. So if that condition is happening, it's going to interrupt this particular area while that's happening. So if we go selected here, you'll see that it's actually for hole 16, whether there might be something in that area where we don't want that the wind blowing that sprinkler in a certain direction. So if you do want to add a new alarm bell, just hit the plus button there. And one of our examples, so it was if you go down to rainfall 1, and then so the condition, if this condition is on, so if rainfall is at a certain level, and you want to just shut off the system, then you would go system interrupt, and then that right there will interrupt the whole system, or you could go and select what areas that you want to just be shut off. But right there it's going to shut off the whole system. And so from there, I'll talk to you about watering to ET. So we have it set to 0.25 there, but as well, we need to know how much water we're actually putting out on the golf course. So if you would go to your station details there. So now if you want to go to the system data tables, just up in that top section there, just to the left, to the right, there we go. And if you want to go click on the box and go precipitation data table. So in this area, you can see we filled out a few already with the exception of rough. It's just saying how much precipitation inches per hour is going down for the area. So you can see for the greens with the square spacing, for the square pattern, it's 72 and 72. So that ends up putting down the 0.59. For the tees or any triangle spacing, it's the distance of the head multiplied by a constant of 0.866, which is going to give you your precipitation for the triangle spacing. So for the rough there, we got it in a straight line. Oh, and we did fill it out. And yeah, 81 is the distance of the heads, and with the orange nozzles on the that 900 series, it's the 37.1, which gives us the 0.36 for that straight line, which puts down a little bit less water. Okay, and then we can explain just so now with that being set up, you can then go to the tab on the top right there, default data settings, and then you go to the rotors there, and then we just want from there so you can go on those tabs and you just import the precipitation per each area, and you go down. You can just keep moving down through each area doing so, just as we filled out in the previous chart, and then you can import this information all throughout. And so now it's the precipitation set up for all areas of the golf course. And then that's where we can now go to the program builder. And for a certain area that you want to water to ET, you can see there's the designated column for it. So you turn the area on if you want to run that, but then you can go over to the ET column there, and you can turn that on, and when you do so, it'll water to ET. And now I'll pass it off to Darren to talk further on the use of ET.
So when watering to ET, we want to figure out how long it would take to water the whole course, and we would be replacing 0.25 lost to evapotranspiration. So we're going to select the water all program and select it to run on ET, and we're going to do a dry run. And we assume that this program is going to take quite a long time to run, so we're going to start it at 10 p.m. and it's going to run till roughly 5 p.m. in the afternoon. So we'll just start a dry run there, and basically this is going to show us how long it is going to take to replace 0.25 lost in evapotranspiration. We want to put that water back, and so basically the system's going to figure out how long each head has to run for to replace that water. And as you can see, this is quite a long process. We're putting back quite a bit of water across the course. And it's going to come to an end here. And roughly, from what we found doing these dry runs, takes about 18 hours for the system to replace the 0.25 lost to evapotranspiration, as you'll see here shortly when the program ends. So we're getting to about 4 in the afternoon. You can see it shuts off sometime right in between 4 and 5 there. So a very long run time to replace that 0.25 of ET. So the next thing that I'll be talking about after we've seen that is we want to create a high dry greens head program. So we have 2 heads on the back of each of our greens that we want to start a program to run just those 2 heads for 10 minutes. So to do that, we're going to go into program detail. And we're going to create a program through the Quick app there. And basically, it's going to be called High Dry Greens. And we want to select all the greens, but we only want to select sub-irrigation class D on the greens. So we click OK. And by doing that, we can now back out and go into our station detail. And from inside station detail, you would then want to individually go through and select the back 2 heads on each green and make them so that they were subclass irrigation D. And by doing this now, when you run the high and dry program, it is only going to run any of the heads associated with sub-irrigation class D. So if we just do a quick dry run here, you can see that greens 1 and 2, oh, we didn't have a start time set there, Kate. Apologies. We just want to set our start time in there. And when we run the dry run, you're going to see that only the greens associated with sub-irrigation class D turn on. And so that allows us to just turn on that program when we only want to run the 2 heads on the back of a green there. You can see that they ran. So that's the end of this section. And next, I'll pass it on to Zach, and he is going to talk a little bit about the next question.
Okay, so if you're into the situation where you need to water your back 9 in reverse instead of 1 to 9 or 10 to 18, we'll go 18 to 10. Go to your course maps and your course details. And from there, you can go to 817 and right click on the properties. And there you can go to your stations if you did a quick fill program, and you can just change them all from the order they were in to, so instead of 1 to 6, go 6 to 1. Another way of doing it was if you just made a program and clicked through the hole like you did in the previous video of blowout. This is just another way of doing it. And then now we also only want holes 17 and 18 to run on every 3rd day. So there we'll go to our station programs. And then we'll go to hole 18 and we're going to set the skip a day to every 3 days, starting with 1 day. And that's how you would set up watering in reverse on your back 9. Obviously, you'd want to do it through all 9 holes, but for this example, we did 17 and 18. Now I'll pass you off to Dill.
So for the next question, we want to water the entire golf course, but shutting off the, certain holes with for our greens, we want to turn off holes 2, 5, 7, 14, 18. For our tees, we want to turn off 3, 5, 8, 13, 17. And our approaches, we want to turn off holes 1, 2, 5, 6, 12, and 14. So in order to do that, we're going to go into our program details. From here, we have a water all exception program. So we're going to click into that, go to the second tab at the top. So from here, we're going to choose our holes. So for we're going to go to hole number 2. And then we'll go to the 3rd tab. Now we're going to change our default run time. So we already have, as you can see on our greens, we have a 0 default runtime, so those are not going to go up. And for our approaches, we also want to change those to 0. And then now for another hole, we're going to go hole 1. We're going to turn off our approaches there as well. Hole 5. Hole 6. Hole 12. And hole 14. So all we're doing there is we're changing the certain areas that we do not want to run. We're giving them a 0 runtime so that when everything else is turned on, those ones are now being told not to go without changing the data on any of our other programs that we've set up. And now I'm going to pass it off to Darren.
To Zach. Zach's going to explain one of the last questions.
Yeah, for question 8, how would you set up a syringe but not have it as a program so that won't run every day and you don't have to worry about turning it off and on? So go to the simple IRR, and in there you can select what you want it, so we'll name it syringe. You'll select what area you'd like it, so we selected greens and where. And there we put 3 minutes because we want a 3-minute syringe. And then you can click the one time only and what time it's going to start at. So your start time, 6 a.m., one time only, save. So now that's only going to run the next day. And then after that, it won't be anywhere. It won't show up in your programs. The only place it will stay is in your simple events, is when you click tomorrow to show any events that have been done or upcoming, and it'll stay there but won't be in your programs. And won't run every day. I'll pass you off to Darren for question 9.
Okay, so for the bonus questions, the area that we use to figure out some other information for this project is we'll go up to the pencil and the compass and go all the way down to the bottom. And we're looking at the map utilities here. So we click on that. And when you first come into the map utilities, you should go over to the top and set your units to make sure that they match the map that you're using. So our map units for this were in meters. So we want to change map unit to meters. And we want it to display in feet. So we're going to click OK. Now, once we've done that, we can use this tool to find some specific areas. So if you wanted to just find out the total area of the southeasterly ponds, you could go up to the top in tools and go to select area. And you would click on the pond. And it's going to tell you up at the top there that one's 126,000 square feet. And we want to take that and add it to the other pond. So click on the other pond, and you'll see that one is 127,000 square feet. So if you add those two together, it ends up being 254,215 feet squared. And we know that the average depth of these is 10 feet deep. So by timesing that number by 10, we end up with 2,542,150 feet cubed, which we take that and convert it to meters cubed. It means that we have 71,180 meters cubed capacity of water in those two water traps. So that was for one of the bonus questions. Another one of the bonus questions was how much or how long will that water last if there is no recharge? So in using some more conversions, we took the 71,180 meters cubed is equivalent to 19 million, just over 19 million US gallons. And so from watering the whole course for 15 minutes on a dry run, we see that the course uses 419,000 US gallons of water a night. And so by taking that and dividing it into the 19 million, we have 45 days of water available if there was no recharge. Also, we wanted to figure out the surface area of the bunkers. So once again, looking at the map, if you go over to the left and click on bunker, and then you right click it and go to select all, it will tell you the total square footage of all of your bunkers. And so through some calculations, we figured out that to fill the bunkers with 12 inches of sand, we're going to need roughly 5,104 meters cubed of sand. So you would just take that and figure out what that is in tonnage, and then you would know how much sand you would have to order to fill your bunkers. And those were the 3 bonus questions that we were asked at the end of this assignment. So that is the end of our video. Thanks for watching.